Blingtron 3000, on the other hand, 5 mana 3/4 mech. Battle Cry, equip a random weapon for each player. I've seen a lot of torn decisions where this card is concerned, and I actually think it's one of the better cards in the set.
Yeah, it's fine. I think this card is going to become better the longer that the game runs, because there's going to be more ways to handle your opponent's weapon. But, yeah, I think it's fine. I don't hate it.
I think it's pretty good. The math on the weapon expected value from the first set only is you're going to get an average of like 7.8 damage, but it's more heavily slanted towards getting a better weapon, like Doomhammer, Gladiators, Longbow, Arcanite Reaper, just insane stuff. Sometimes you'll get Light's Justice and feel like an idiot. But I think in an aggressive deck, this card might make the cut, because if you read the battle cry as, get 8 points of damage over a few turns, play a 3/4 and give your opponent a weapon, it's not that bad of a card.
I think the card's very good in aggro, by the way. I didn't mention that, but like my old aggro deck would have for sure ran it.
Yeah.
This card is also, you have to also see this card as a weapon removal. Mm-hmm. For example, you can destroy your opponent's weapon with it.
That's a good point.
And also, this card also makes your weapon removal guys better if you decide to play like double acidic Swampus or whatever in your deck, just because you wanted to drop that synergizes well with the Blingtron. Or it's like good in the weapon meta in general.
Also, with the spare parts, there's one that actually freezes. Actually, that can only hit minions, I think, so never mind.
I think another part of this card that is really interesting to me, which is just because I like boring decks, is I feel like it's really good in Druid. Like, this feels just strictly better than Azure Drake to me.
Yeah, because your whole goal is to just get them to 14. You don't care if they have a weapon.
Yeah, basically.
I agree, actually. Yeah, the more that you guys are talking about it, the more I like it. I was kind of on the fences. I knew that it would be good eventually type of thing, but now I'm actually thinking it could be legit.
Also, imagine the golden version of this card. That thing has to look sweet.
I think this equips golden weapons no matter what.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's super cool. Sweet. Yeah. What's the point of having a golden one just because you just...
Oh, it's just going to look sweet, dude.
Dude, imagine all the coins flipping around.
Piloted Sky Golem, 6 mana, 6/4, summon a random 4-cost minion. I think this is just strictly worse than the 4/3 one, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but this card is actually one of the coolest design cards in the set. Not because of how awesome it is or whatever, but this is one of the best. Like, if you don't have a 6-drop that, like one of the legendary 6-drops, this guy's a pretty sick replacement.
Yeah, so like
I mean, it's still, like, if you randomly open him in a pack and you just don't have Karen or you don't have a Sylvanas, like, this guy's actually, like, not a bad replacement for, like, the lower ranks. Like, people ask, like, all the time, like, what should I sub for these legendaries? This guy's actually a pretty good sub for most 6 casting cost legendaries. I personally wouldn't play this because I would have all the legendaries, but if you don't have them, this guy's actually a good replacement. So I think this guy is actually one of the cooler design cards.
I can get behind that.
This card will see play in decks that want to play Karen. I mean, if you only want the one Karen, then it's okay to just play the Karen, because Karen is always going to be better than this card, probably.
Yeah.
But if you want more cards, if you want an additional Karen, why not play Piloted Sky Golem? I think it's very good in that regard. If you ever want to play 2 Karens in your deck, or even 3 Karens, just add like 2 Piloted Sky Golems in your deck. There you go.
I didn't do any math, but just looking over the 4-drops, again, I think they specifically chose 4-drop and 2-drop because there are a lot of bad ones.
Yeah,
if you get a Twilight Drake, if you get Baron Ribbondare or Ancient Mage, you're not very happy.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, 2/5's still not that bad, but...
2/5 is actually good. Like, now that guy has 8 power and 9 toughness, essentially.
Yeah, I think Backspace, I think you nailed this one on the head. It's like a really good design for people who, like, don't have everything in the game yet, and they're like, what should I replace this legendary with? And you're like, well, this 400 dust card.
Yeah.
Which, I think that's a really good idea, actually. Gazlowe, 6 mana, 3/6. Whenever you cast a 1-mana spell, add a random mech to your hand.
Yep. That's what the card does.
Is this any good?
I pass. I'm not a fan.
6 mana is steep. It seems like
You're
worse
not.
auctioneer.
You're not going to have a bunch of spare parts, and when you do, you can't play them in the same turn.
Yeah.
And it's a 3/6, so it's easy to deal with. I don't like it.
I mean, there is something to be said to drawing cards that are not in your deck. That is an insane mechanic. So maybe randomly in some weird super control format, this guy could see play, but I still don't think so. Especially at 6. 6 is like the most competitive card slot in any deck.
Yep.
This card is good in very, 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 very slow decks, which we've seen have some success sometimes. But I think if you manage to get into the late game with those kind of decks, then Gazlowe is going to be a very good addition. It all depends on what kind of cards you are running in your deck, because obviously spare parts alone won't cut it, I would say, because often enough you will have to use them earlier, and so you would have to like add some 1 mana spells or whatever into your deck, and but if Gazlowe, I mean, if you have like 2 Paladin Secrets, for example, I guess I could see this in some Paladin control deck, right? Because those are generally very slow, and they can play some secrets like Redemption or whatever. There are some okay secrets for the Paladin control deck as well.
Humility.
So Gazlowe, I think, would fit the most in like kind of a Paladin control mech deck.
In all the Resident Sleeper decks. Power Word Shielding Sky.
Maybe more towards Warrior, because Warrior already has like 6 one-casting cost cards in it, but...
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Overall, I don't think it's a very good card. And neither do I think is this one. 6 mana, 7/6, Mogor the Ogre. Maybe it's Mogor the Ogre. All minions have a 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy. Kind of cool, but it seems like it gets... Like, why is this guy a 6/7?
This card is actually, like... It has a really super important purpose why it was printed. It was obviously to get Raynad to quit. I mean, I couldn't imagine watching Raynad stream and his opponent playing this card, and Raynad just, I'm done, boys. I'm fucking done. And just walking right out of the room. Not even turning off his stream, just leaving the room.
He has to attack first, though. Like,
Yeah.
He has to have all of his minions, like, he has to, like, attack the Haunted Creeper and then attack the 2 Haunted Creeper tokens.
Yeah, I feel like this card, like, just isn't budgeted right. Like, compared to the other ogres that are just, like, they feel correct for their downside, and they feel strong. They feel like good cards. This, like, the big ogre guy, you know, that's the legendary, he feels awful. He just looks terrible.
I mean, he does make their minions worse, too, though. So, like, they can't make it their cost.
I don't know.
I feel
But
like
yeah, this is definitely the most anti-Raynad card ever printed.
I like this card very much, especially because your opponent is the one who gets the downside from it first. So it's actually a very decent defensive card that might protect you or your board or whatever you want to protect or not protect. I don't even know. So I think in that regard the card is very decent. But overall, I think the stats could have been a little bit better, like maybe more health or I don't know.
I think at 6/7 this card is like actually pretty good, and at 7/6 it's just like, oh man, like sort of like what Chakki said, is just gonna get caught in like the BGH crossfire. They're like, oh sweet, he played something, blow it up and get a 4/2.
If it had like both of his ogre stats or maybe like 5/8 maybe, then it would have been way better.
Yeah, I agree with you. So yeah, not a very good card, I think, literally just because of the big game hunter existing. Toshli, 6 mana, 5/7, Battle Cry and Death Rattle. Add a spare part card to your hand.
Yeah, for 6, like I said, the 6 mana competition is steep. So, like, maybe in some classes it could play this card, but I really don't see it. Like, I mean, I don't think the plus ability of drawing spare parts is worth your 6-drop, and all the 6-drops in this game are super competitive, so...
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I mean, I don't think this card's bad at all. I think it's probably a little above average. I wouldn't be surprised if people tried it out, but I don't know if it's going to be the best for the 6 slot.
Yeah.
Well, I like the card. I think it goes very well with the Gazlowe, especially. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see a double team of Toshli Gazlowe. I mean, I'm getting pretty tired of all those double teams of Karen, Sylvanas, or whatnot. So it's time for it's time for a breath of fresh air here.
Fugan and Stalag.
I kind of want to try all the legendaries at least once.
Oh boy, this is the card. Troggzor the Earthinator. Troggzor the Earthinator, 7 mana 6/6. Whenever your opponent casts a spell, summon a Burly Rockjaw Trogg, which is the 3/5 we saw earlier. Wow, what a good card.
Fuck?
Like, what is going on? This card is like way over budgeted.
Yeah, this card's insane.
Like, is this a card you just like jam into your decks?
Definitely a very good druid.
Yeah, for sure.
Warrior, paladin, priest, rogue, hunter, shaman. Am I forgetting any classes?
Just the other ones.
Good.
Like, when is this card... The only time this card's bad is like if your opponent just has a bunch of stuff on the board and you're playing this guy and hoping that it does something. Like, against any time that you're resetting initiative with this card, it just seems like so freaking good.
I win. Yeah.
Only time this is bad is when you literally like cannot deal with your opponent's board, and this is your play, and it's like, okay, you're just behind anyway.
Yeah, like have fun
Yeah,
executing
you were
it,
losing
idiot.
anyway.
Have fun with your shield block, shield slam.
Yeah.
This is like, honestly, if they can deal with it with one spell, it's very similar to Cairn. Like, you just get a 3/5 as a death rattle.
Yep.
It's just really good.
Definitely a fan.
And it doesn't like to BGH.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue here. Is that this? Thank goodness they didn't make this a 7/7. Otherwise, it would just go along with the other legendaries. Where you're like, this would be so good if it didn't die to BGH.
Yeah.
Like legendaries that die to BGH and don't have an immediate impact are inherently, I think, pretty bad cards.
Which the next one is.
Yep. Doctored Boom should have been a 6/7, but we'll get there later. 7 mana 7/7. Battle Cry. Summon 2 Boombots. The Boombots are I think they're 1/1s, when they die, they deal 1 to 4 random damage to a random opponent. So it's dealing 1 to 4 damage and it's dealing it to a random target. Like, do the Boombots have taunt?
No.
So they're just 1/1. So you have to actually activate them. If they had taunt, this card would be like really good. I feel like, but not quite making the cut.
Yep.
It's okay in druid and in shaman.
Well, it's this or Troggzor.
I don't like it in Shaman at all.
It's like this or Troggzor.
I mean,
yeah, he's competing for
it's definitely not better than
now.
Troggzor. I'm just saying, like, it's definitely not unplayable in those two classes. But no, it's definitely not better than Troggzor, so...
He's no Troggzor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Strife Crow praising this card in our team chat. I was like, really? But in my opinion, it's just like he was comparing the boom buff to fireballs and stuff. And I was like, whoa.
Always 4 damage.
Comparisons.
Very weird.
I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess I still see this as a slightly improved War Golem.
Slightly improved. War Golem, not even like really improved.
That's pretty accurate. I'm actually just going to take back my statement.
Yeah, slightly improved War Golem, speaking of which, Force Tank Max, 8 mana 7/7 Divine Shield. Trash tier.
Just one of the worst cards in the set.
Hey,
I think the worst card in the set.
if you recombobulate a
Just stop. No.
Yeah, okay, we'll just go trash
Actually,
tier.
wait, no, that's a good concept, is that all of the 8-drops were really strong, and they just added this really awful one. So now when you recombobulate, and you're like, oh, sweet, I'll get a rag, you get a Force Tank Max.
Force Tank Max. Foe Reaper, 8 mana 6/9, also damages the minions next to whomever he attacks. I'm pretty torn on this card. I see a lot of situations where it's very good, but utilizing an 8 mana card 1 turn after its hit play, that seems like one of the harder things to do.
I'm not torn on this card at all. This card's awful.
Yeah.
I was actually looking somewhere in the set for a card that gives max charge. So this card would be insane, but I didn't find it. So
doesn't exist. Looks a lot better than it actually is. I think it certainly can be used, but probably going to be tough to justify using this over Ragnaros, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. No.
And also that card's a pervert, because, 69.
Oh, and it's also pretty tough to use over this guy. Sneed's Old Shredder, 8 mana, 5/7, Death Rattle, summon a random legendary minion.
I like it.
Is this why all the legendaries have been like pretty awful so far? To not make this card overpowered?
I mean, like,
Is that the long game plan, Blizzard?
it's like 8 mana Karen. I like it. If Karen's good, this guy's probably pretty good.
This guy's pretty good.
I mean, if you go look at all the legendaries, he is on average going to get you a 5/5 or better. And like, just go look at all the legendaries. There's way too many 8/8 legendaries and 9/9s, and like the worst ones you could get is like Pagel, Tankmaster, even getting a 4/4 like Millhouse or Mukla or ETA or whatever that card's, ETC or something. Like those guys are 5/5s. Like those are the worst ones. Blood Mage Staunos, I guess. But yeah, there's like 5 bad ones, or all the other ones are like 8/8s.
Yep.
Huh?
Lore Walker Joe's probably one of the worst ones you can
The
get.
worst ones are the 0/4s.
Yeah. Right, there's only 4 bad ones, and all the other ones are huge. So I think this guy's a 7/5 that summons like an 8/8 most of the time.
If your opponent procs it, you're feeling good about life.
Yeah.
I just really wish it had taunt, because your opponent will just ignore it most of the time, and it actually
that's
dies.
the
It
downside.
dies it's very hard to kill because it has 7 health. So you will like not be able to suicide it into something, so you get the immediate advantage out of it. I feel like if this card had taunt, it would be insane. But not like this. I don't think it's that good.
wouldn't
the
be
way that
happy.
you just said it, that they're not going to kill it, it is an 8 mana card that's going to deal 10 damage and then put something else into play. That's pretty good.
I doubt
That's
that the
already
game is
the
going to go
weakness of
that
the
long unless it's like a really drawn out control mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I see it too.
That could be the new meta. Like, very long games.
That very much is probably going to be the new meta.
I mean, they introduced a lot more healing. Like,
A lot more
Yeah.
healing and sheep. The sheep
Yep.
card just messes up aggro.
Yeah, I think that card. I think Sheep's really good. I think this card's pretty good, but again, it's really tough to compete with 8 mana slots. So this is going to be like the greedier the decks get, I feel like the better this card becomes. But if this card is like anywhere near a if it's anywhere near aggro, like this card's coming out of your deck, it's one of the first ones you cut. Like you need to get something that actually affects the board immediately, and this guy isn't doing that. He's very in line with Cairn. He's a greedier Cairn.
I almost feel like he could be a replacement for like Ysera or something like that.
Yeah, I could see that too. I think it's totally fine. Mekgineer Thermaplugg, 9 mana, 9/7. When an enemy minion dies, summon a leper gnome. Kind of cool, but really shitty.
yep.
I am going to do something involving making so many leopard gnomes. I don't know how yet.
There's going to be some video on YouTube from one of those content creators where both players have this in play. One of them has a war song commander, and leper gnomes just kill each other over and over.
Yep, it's going to be awesome.
That's going to be a video, and I cannot wait for that. But this card's awful.
Yep.
This card reminds me of my teammate Gnimsh.
He
every
loved.
way.
He said he
Every
said he
way
was.
possible.
He said he was making a golden one on day one. You need to hold him to that. I want to see the golden Nimsh crafting this thing video, and like just him just being thrilled to the teeth
Have
with
you
it.
met Nimsh? He's going to open his first pack, and it's going to be a golden one.
Yeah.
He's not even going to craft it. He'll craft another one because he's like, yeah, whatever.
Why wouldn't I want 2 of them? Yeah, this guy's trash. I think you can disenchant him. Clockwork Giant. At first, I thought this card was really good, and the more I continued to think about it, the more I think it's the more I think it's actually kind of bad. 12 mana, 8/8 costs 1 less for each card in your opponent's hand, so the opposite of Mountain Giant in terms of like player. And I feel like the reason Mountain Giant's good is because you manipulate your own hand.
Yeah, I don't really see this card seeing too much play ever.
One of the issues is playing Cold Light Oracle. You pay 3 to make this cost 2 less, so you're still not getting any net gain.
Yep.
And so the one way you can manipulate it isn't even that great. And again, it's another card that it's made for like an aggressive stance. And you don't want to just give your opponent a BGH out when you're playing an aggressive deck.
Yeah.
This card is insane in handlock mirrors, though.
That's about it, I think, though. This is pretty much
Not sure
handlock
if it's
mirror.
even
Handlock
just
mirror
big game
attack.
puncher in the handlock mirror, is it? Probably not.
Is handlock still a thing? Are we sure?
I don't think handlock will exist.
There's going to be a Warlock deck that relies on drawing really strong cards and playing them and drawing twice a turn, but will it be Giants now?
I don't think Giants can... I really don't think Giants will be playable now that Silfire's gone.
I can see that, for sure. Or now that it costs 1 mana, rather, which is like
I
a
mean,
really
like,
big
it's
hurt
just-
that deck.
Yeah,
Right,
like playing your Giant on turn 4 and killing their minions.
It's hard to remember a lot
Super
of these
important.
cards. You think, like, well, that's a great application now, but will that situation exist once we change everything?
Yeah, I don't think it will. I think this card's
Yeah,
pretty
and-
garbage.
Everything probably will change.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Alright, now we're going to move on to class cards. We got done with all the neutral cards now. These are the ones I think that are extremely important, though. Neutral minions obviously affecting a lot of stuff, but class cards will affect a lot more. So we're going to start off with Warlock. And Darkbomb. 2 mana, 3 damage. Just an overall pretty solid card.
Yeah, I don't really see it seeing too much constructed play, but sure.
Strong arena card.
It's Frostbolt for Warlocks, and I think that's pretty good. I think it looks kind of underwhelming. People are used to Warlocks having like 0 mana Soulfire and not needing this kind of removal, but with 1 mana Soulfire, this is just 1 more mana for roughly the same damage. I mean, Soulfire usually gets pointed at 3 health stuff, and I think this card could be good in certain Warlock decks.
Yeah, considering the nerf of Soulfire, I definitely agree. I mean, now you have to decide whether you want to deal 3 damage for 2 mana, or 4 damage for 3 mana, or 1 mana and discard a card. I like all those cards are kind of underwhelming right now. I mean, it's on the same. Darkbomb is on the same level as Soulfire and Shadowbolt at the moment, I would say. So, just kind of preference call, I guess.
And people are saying this is strictly worse than Wrath and Frostbolt, which is true, but I think the freeze effect isn't relevant, and I think the fact that Warlock has life tap is the reason it can't be better than Wrath, obviously.
Yeah, I think you're spot on
In
with that.
context, I think this is like perfect for the Warlock class.
Face. Something important to note.
Can hit
It
face.
does almost cost the same amount of mana as Lightning Bolt, kind of.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Just in 1 turn instead of 2.
Yeah, it definitely could be playable. I don't know. Probably. I mean, not so much, but
Right, and so comparing class cards ends up almost always being a irrelevant point.
Yeah, I think you have to take it into context of like what you're trying to do with the class. So I can see it being played, but I mean maybe it opens you up more to some mid-range options. But a card to keep your eye on. This isn't like a terrible card, but it's not a great one. It's just kind of average. Mistress of Pain, 2 mana 1/4. Whenever this minion deals damage, restore that much health to your hero. This feels a lot like an Armor Smith kind of card to me, but like a little bit harder to really get the ball rolling with. Like with Abusive Sergeant, it feels pretty good.
It's pretty awful.
yeah, I'm not a fan.
You don't want this. As a Warlock, you don't want this.
Don't count this card out just yet.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm
on this
counting
one.
it out.
This is my favorite ability on a minion, which is just whenever it deals damage, you gain that much life. That's actually my favorite ability, but I don't like it on this card.
I wouldn't count it out just yet, because there's a lot of good cards in the new set, which we will see in a few moments, that synergize very well with this card. And one card from the older set, from the old set, is Demon Fire, which is huge on this card.
Yeah, buddy. I think this card's actually pretty good. You guys think it's?
I think this card is never going to be played competitively.
Oh, I will take that bet.
You want to make the bet?
I think it's totally fine. You think it's totally terrible. Time's gonna tell on that one. I think it's better when there's a lot of like little weenie aggro decks, and a lot worse when we're kind of weighted towards mid-range stuff. Implosion, 4 mana spell, deal 2 to 4 damage to a minion, and then summon a 1/1 imp for each damage that it dealt.
Yeah, I kind of like this card. Might be kind of hard to find room in your deck for it. So it seems good.
It's a weird card.
Like it definitely seems good, but finding a slot in your deck for it might be really hard. 4 is a lot. So, and then, like, the randomness of it is kind of awkward. Could be good. Doubt it.
It feels like Imp Master-ish to me.
I mean, like, if it does 4 damage, you get 4 1/1s. That's obviously really good, right? But like, if you deal 2 damage, you don't even finish off the minion. You get 2 1/1s. The 2 1/1s will probably finish off the minion you were trying to kill.
Dang it!
But yeah, I'm not really a fan. In Arena, it's obviously ridiculous.
I feel like 2 of the 3 possibilities on this card, like 3 and 4 damage, is already more than what you would usually get for this amount of mana, I would say. So the only mode that makes this card below worth the cost of this below worth the cost of 4 mana is the 2 damage 2 1/1s. The other 2 modes are perfectly fine or even insane. So I like this card. I don't know in what kind of deck I would use it with, but it's probably something with that new Warlock legendary.
I'm not a huge fan of the card, but I'm not gonna call this one awful.
Chakki hates Warlock so far.
I'm not gonna.
I think that some
Confirmed.
of the stronger classes did get shafted in this expansion for reasons, because you can't just always print the best cards for the best classes. Stuff has to change.
You're a traitor.
Absolutely.
You're a traitor, you know that.
And also, Warlock, by default, when new cards come out, gets better because they get to draw twice as much.
Yeah, that's
so,
that definitely influences stuff.
the Warlock class cards have never been fantastic, but the Warlock class has carried on fine.
Fel Cannon, 4 mana, 3/5, mech. At the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to a non-mech minion. I don't know.
Including your own.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it just says deal 2 damage to a non-mech minion. This is where I'm like, feels kind of risky. All the great Warlock cards are not mechs.
I'm a fan if there ends up being like some sort of Warlock control deck. This card seems pretty good.
Just kind of
I
like
like it.
It's just kind of like Keeper of the Grove, as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a card that we'll see play. Maybe not now, but at some point in time, like on turn 4, you're going to be angry that this card's in play. Like, I mean, especially if it triggers twice. Like,
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a very context-dependent card because it literally depends on what's being played. And so I don't think I can form a very realistic opinion yet, but there's a chance it's good.
hey, if you coin this guy out, you're most likely going to win the game.
I'm pretty sure that
Whoa!
I'm pretty sure that all the Warlock decks, just like they were before, will always be minion based, and therefore this card will not be good for Warlock because a Warlock probably does not want to play a mech type of strategy if there's so many good like demons running around now. I kind of
you
right now
don't have
also
to play
wish.
this card in a mech deck.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
at
of
all.
course you will
just-
play it in the mech deck, but is
No, I'm saying
Warlock
you don't
mech the
have to
right
play
choice?
this
That is
card in a
that
deck.
is the only question.
I'm saying
Or
you
is
don't
Warlock
have to
deck-
play this card in a
You
deck.
play it in a deck with very few early game minions, and you
Yeah.
can also play
You
eggs.
play it in a control deck where you just
Play
burn everything
eggs.
in the early game, and then you play this guy turn 4, and he burns 2 things, and then you
Hopefully.
siphon soul some stuff. Like, yeah,
Anyway, of course, the card is potentially very powerful, but I find it too situational, and I would not want to build a Warlock deck based like with this card, with this particular card. I feel like, it would be much cooler if it was actually a demon sort of mechanic, like deal 2 damage to a non-demon minion.
I don't really know where to go with this card. Again, the sort of the thing that's like really turning me away from it is that it can hit your own stuff, and a lot of the most powerful minions you want to play in Warlock are not mechs. So it's just like a lot of opportunities for kind of reverse value.
I mean, if you play 2 of them, Jesus.
Also, like, what if you just hit your opponent's egg?
Yeah, I mean,
Which your
obviously,
opponent can
like I
100%
said, in
control.
some metas, I think this card could be really, really good. This is kind of, and if you think about it this way, this is kind of a fiery war axe for Warlock. Like, you play it, it's going to deal 2 damage to a minion.
It's more like I think it's more like a Wrathy Weaponsmith.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, which is not very, it's pretty underwhelming.
Yeah. but
Has never been played.
It's also a 3/5.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it being played, but not a big fan
I
of this
like
card.
it. I like it. I mean,
It's blah.
Difference.
Floating Watcher, 5 mana, 4/4. Whenever your hero takes damage on your turn, gain +2/+2. Trash tier.
Yeah, I pass.
Listen, if you're one of those people that you think your Matter Bomber is going to hit you 6 times in the face every time, you're going to want to combo with this and get a 16-16. That's all I'm going to say.
Ekop,
It's a pretty bad card.
The trash tier?
Yeah,
Trash
definitely.
tier. Alright. Demon Heart. 5 mana, 5 damage to a minion. If it's a friendly demon, give it +5/+5 instead. I think this card is... I think this card's great.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't.
Okay.
I think the high-end casting cost of Warlock is, like, super competitive.
Yeah.
And even if you... somehow your Flame Imp lived, and then you gave it +5/+5. Nah, this is trash.
What if you put it on
I
a
think
Mistress of
Demon
Pain?
Fire is better, and I think Demon Fire hasn't been played forever, like since January.
I think this card is better than Demon Fire, but
Sometimes.
I don't want to say it's trash because +5/+5 is like that's a lot. But
Yeah,
I'm not a fan.
it's just a lot on one card.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm not a fan, but sure, if someone played it, I wouldn't be like absolutely mind blown.
It could end up being decent.
Yeah.
I love this card. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm really looking forward to building a demon deck, and this card will push it over the top. Put this on a Blood Imp or a Mistress of Pain. Easy peasy GG.
Mistress of Pain.
I think this card's good. I'm with Ekop on this one. I think if you stick it on a Mistress of Pain, like they're in trouble. They're in a lot of it too. Like you now have a 5/9.
I don't think your 1/4 is surviving ever.
It might not, but
There's a lot of 4/4s now.
I think if I want to use Dark Bomb and Shadow Bolt and Soulfire, that I can really kind of keep your board clean until this card actually becomes active.
Alright, fair enough. I think this card has potential, but...
Alright, again,
Or you can put it on a Blood Imp.
we seem to be really split. Yeah, or you can put it on a Blood
Oh my
Imp.
God, Blood Imp! You can
Yeah.
make a 5/6 on turn 5.
That charges, basically.
That's ridiculous.
And you can't put it on a Blood Imp, it deals 5 damage.
I'm completely changing my opinion now. Because now you're gonna have a deck with Blood Imp and this card.
Dang it, you're such an asshole.
And you can combo with Anima Golem!
This
Just you wait until I smash your face with that deck. Backspace.
Kawaii Anime Golem, pretty trash tier. 6 mana, 9/9, mech. End of your turn, destroy this minion if it's your only one. Well, I think it's going to be your only one sometimes when you play it on turn 6. I think it's
What's
trash
Blood
tier.
Imp? Blood Imp!
Oh my God, Blood Imp! Actually, I'm with
Yeah.
Ekop now. Ekop has a plan. I like the plan. But this card is definitely not better than the 5
I'm
mana.
going to play my Warlock Demon mech deck with Fel Cannons that hit my own Blood Imps, so that way I can use the +5/+5 on him next turn. What is this card called again?
You know,
Demon Heart. So I can Demon Heart him, and then this card is just garbage. Like
I don't think
I think
Senpai's gonna notice
better.
Anime Golem. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Amos says that he wasn't invited. Should we just add Amos to the call?
Yeah, we can add him to the call.
Alright, I'm in.
What the
Oh
hell?
no, we
want
can't, because it
Yeah.
mixes up the screen. Sorry,
Alright,
But Amas already had his card review.
rip Amaz.
Ooh.
Hey, I gotta restart the call so that way we can pull everyone in here. So just a second, let me switch this back over now.
Oh, sorry, I
Yeah,
messed
hang on, I'm
everything
restarting
up.
the call. Yeah. Hang tight, guys. We can't have Amaz in here because it ruins how this thing's set up.
I messed everything up.
Jeez.
Yeah, you messed everything
I
up.
don't pay now.
Jeez.
Webcams, guys. Webcams.
Alright.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
God damn it, Amas.
No, we got it.
Oh
everything.
god, the whole Hearthstone
It's backspace. All right, all right. Here we go. All right, Anime Golem not getting noticed by Senpai. Definitely with Chakki on this one. Mal'Ganis on the other hand. Oh my gosh. 9 mana, 9/7. Kind of ignore the 9 mana for a second here because
Ignore the 9 mana!
Well, I have a point with this one. Your other demons have +2/+2 and your hero's immune. Like, could we have gotten a target that we want to Void Caller in more?
No.
Like, if you Void Caller
Oh
sack
my
pack
God,
this,
I didn't even think about that. That's sick.
like this guy, can you summon this guy off of like Bane of Doom?
No.
Okay.
Wait,
I think
why?
I don't
Because
know.
Bane of Doom is a specific set of like 3 really awful demons.
Okay. Again, the
It's
point
6
is though,
demons.
is like we have something
Six.
that we
I didn't know that.
we have something that we actually use with Void Caller now instead of just putting in like we'll hope Doom Guard hits play, like which is good, but certainly not as good as Mal'Ganis.
Oh yeah.
Do you think Blizzard actually?
Can you put a mouse where I am? In the space?
I have to like change everything around to do it. So.
Okay. So yeah, no, I guess not.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone asked this before, but will Blizzard actually change Bane of Doom to have more targets?
That's a good question.
No.
Chakki's like, no, it's not gonna happen. Forget
As
about
far
it.
as we know,
I hate War. I used to love Warlock, and I hate it now. They're ruining
I
everything.
think even if they did, that wouldn't make Bane of Doom any better.
Yeah. I mean, even
Still
Implosion is
alright.
better than Bane of Doom.
Yeah.
It'd be better in Arena. Like, there's that.
Yeah, I think this card is just. I think it's pretty good. I think it's literally designed with Void Color in mind,
Yeah.
and that's where you're going to see this card hit play.
I think it's good
Deck
enough.
side.
Like, yeah. I think it's good enough to make Void Color come in.
That is
Which-
Mal'Ganis, man. Just
So
look
like,
at him.
like even without Void Color, this card might actually be playable. I mean, it's like a 9 casting cost Taunter. I mean, it makes your hero.
People in chat are just gonna be amazed that I finally said a Warlock card's okay. Like, this one's pretty good. There you go, chat.
It's pretty terrible.
I don't see this card being horrendous. I don't know. I'd be surprised if it didn't see play at
Don't
some
see
point
it
in
being
time.
horrendous.
I think this card's pretty good.
Poor Warlock.
I think
I
this
love
is
this
like,
card.
This is the card you want to put in. Yeah, I think this card's awesome. Don't disenchant this one. It's gonna get Void Color into play. You're gonna hate your life when it happens to you, and you're gonna feel like a champion every time it sticks. Yeah, that's all the Warlock cards. Looks like Hunter's next. We're starting with Glaive Zuka. 2 mana, 2/2 weapon. Give a random friendly minion +1 attack. I think this is a pretty solid card.
It could be a 1 of. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it'd be a 2 of.
It'll work.
Like the only thing is like it is pretty good at gaining tempo, which is awesome. But yeah, you definitely can't play 2 of these.
It makes
like-
2/1s into a lot bigger of a threat.
Yeah. And it's not until end of turn; it's forever. So
Yep.
like, I mean, I definitely think it's a fine. Like, it actually could be a 2 of if like you cut a bow or something. But I think I'd rather still have 2 bows in one of these
Yeah,
than.
I don't think I'm cutting a bow. That's,
Yeah, so like, but there could be a super aggro hunter that runs 2 of these and 1 bow, but for the most part, I think this is actually a pretty decent 1 of.
Yep, I agree. Good card.
It might be, but I probably still would just play 2 bows and none of those.
Yeah, that's actually still a possibility too.
I'm gonna play a Glaive Zuka. You're not stopping me.
It's called Glaive Zuka! Imagine a bazooka that shoots glaives! That's literally what this is!
I'd rather shoot rockets, bro.
I think this card's awesome. Risk versus reward of Call Pet. Flare getting increased to 2 mana obviously kind of pushes that card aside, but Call Pet, 2 mana, draw a card. If it's a beast, it costs 4 less. Like, I'm gonna be terrified the first time this goes coin this, and my opponent like hovers over the card
Thanks.
and just goes, and like, my apologies, and I'm like, he's got a Savannah Highmane. Like, what can I do? Like, you're just gonna lose when it happens.
Yeah.
Or Gahz'rilla on turn 3.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I don't even want to think about this. This is just this card like is going to be like the best card in your deck or just terrible.
Well,
don't
it
think
cycles.
This card is good at all.
I think.
I mean,
it
we've
can
seen
be
some
good.
We've seen some beast-oriented hunters, and I kind of want them to see a comeback. I'm kind of tired of seeing all those stupid trap hunters with mad scientists and all that shit. So I'd rather see more beast-oriented hunters with Call Pet. I want to try this card out, and I think it's pretty good.
Seems good when you draw Stranglethorn too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you can build your deck to make this a good card, but the question is if that deck that includes those beasts is going to be good enough.
I literally cannot even see a meta where this card is playable.
Wow.
I think I can. I can
Yeah.
envision something where this is playable. I've played hunter decks that don't have 1-drops really, and so on turn 2, playing a cycle card that sometimes gives you an innervate, essentially, an innervated Savannah Highmane or
Yeah.
an innervated Stranglethorn Tiger is very good.
Yeah. I think this
Yeah, but
card's
like the thing is now like your deck is kind of loaded with like some
That is
high casting
that's the
cost
issue.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, and then also on turn 2, discarding your hero power probably negates the innervate value. So like I don't know.
I think the bigger one is that you're foregoing development early. Like, you're not playing Glaive Zuka. That's what I think. I don't know. I think it's pretty decent. Definitely playable. We'll kind of have to see where this goes, because, again, it's like going to be really underwhelming or, like, extremely good.
Yep.
Steamwheedle Sniper. 2 mana, 2/3. Your hero power can target minions. I think this is just kind of like the 2-drop of choice now in Hunter. I think this card's really good.
It can be. I think people overvalue it a bit, because right now 2 health minions are a big deal. And I think in the expansion, as we haven't seen many 2 health minions, it's been a lot healthier minions with lower attack. There's going to be a lot more 4/4s and stuff where it's like, oh, well, your card just traded evenly. You have to hero power it, and then you have to run your guy in. I don't think there's going to be as many 3/2s anymore. So I would say this card's average.
If this card is in your deck, it is most likely one of the best cards in your deck, because you built your deck for this card to be good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I'm going to give this guy a very decent rating, but, your deck has to be kind of based around him. Some sort of Hunter control-ish deck, which do exist. I mean, they aren't very good right now, but they do exist. That's all I got.
I mean, I think if you're playing an aggressive card of Hunter, this card will be useless, pretty much, because you'd rather have 2 drops that benefit you, from your aggressive strategy, and this card is more of a control kind of card. So if you build a control Hunter, obviously this card is going to be an MVP in there, kind of being similar to Organized Soul Priest in a sense. So if you build a control Hunter, this card is going to be in there. If you build an aggressive kind of Hunter, usually you don't want to play this card, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good analysis.
And it can trigger Gahz'rilla.
Very strong card. Do not disenchant it. Like, if you're ever going to play Hunter, you're going to play this card probably at some point. How playable it is, time's going to tell. Feign Death. Not a big fan of this card. 2 mana, trigger all death rattles on your minions. A lot of cool stuff can happen, but a lot of context involves with this card being good. Like, you have to have stuff on the board, and like, how often is a death rattle worth 2 mana and a card?
Like I said, like the whole control Hunter thing. Like, if that last card is playable, this card is probably playable. Because like triggering like Sylvanas with this card is pretty sick. I don't know, it has a little bit of synergies with some of the higher cast cards. So, like, in a control deck, I can see this card seeing some play. In an aggro deck, I could never see this card seeing play.
From what I saw, from what people thought about the cards when they were initially revealed, and this was before everything was out, this was the most overhyped card.
Memorable, which one of your subscribers keeps turning this room into slow mode and
I don't know. I'm just letting it happen. It's just a chat. I don't really know what's going on. Someone's doing it, and...
Well, I don't think Feign Death's going to be very good. I think it could be a one-of in a really specific Hunter control deck, like you said, Admirable.
Yep. Ekop, any opinions?
Yeah, of course. Like, you obviously obviously this card has been compared to Reincarnate already because of the simple use of Feign Death your Sylvanas or stuff like that. Feign Death your Cairn, Feign Death your Nerubian egg even, I don't know. The only time where this card is actually better than Reincarnate is if you actually trigger 2 death rattles.
Yeah.
So you need to have a very heavy death rattle heavy deck with death rattles that actually are worth triggering. So
which is pretty
it's going to be a very hard to apply card, and I mean even Reincarnate doesn't see as much play as people would loved it to see back when it was released. So I think Feign Death is just as overhyped as Reincarnate, and I don't think it will see much play.
Yeah, agreed with that. Metaltooth Leaper, 3 mana, 3/3 mech. Give your other mechs +2 attack. Battle Cry. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I think this is just strictly worse than like why wouldn't you just play Beast and Houndmaster? Like, I'm gonna play Kill Command if I'm playing Hunter. Why am I just playing mechs now?
Yeah, I think this card's really good, but I don't know if it's really good in Hunter. Is the issue. I think there's a reason they gave it to Hunter is because, like you said, you're having conflicting synergies now. You want Death Rattles, you want Beast, and now you want mechs. Like, it's a good card, but can it fit? Can your whole deck work with it? And I don't know. That's where I'm not convinced. But I think if Mech Hunter is a thing, this card is sick.
I'm not a fan.
Me either.
If this was any other class or a neutral card, it'd be
Yeah.
obviously awesome. But I don't see hunters going the mech ways anytime soon.
Ekop.
I mean, the stats of the card are very decent, I think, and for the battle cry that it gives, it can be really powerful. I feel like a mech hunter can actually be a thing. So, I mean, imagine an Neutron 3/2 Divine Shield Taunt. That's pretty
I think
cool.
the issue is this is the only synergy they got for mechs. This is it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm not sold on it. Maybe in the future. For now, I'm holding off. I'm sticking to my beasts. I want to play Kill Command. I think it's pretty much the reason that you are playing Hunter is to play Kill Command. Like that, the card's like way over budgeted. Cobra Shot, 5 mana, 3 damage to a minion and the hero. Trash.
trash.
Wait, what?
Cobra Shot, 5 mana, 3 damage to a minion and the hero.
Oh, yeah, it's trash. It's okay in arena.
Ekop.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Alright, trash. King of Beasts, 5 mana, 2/6, taunt, battle cry, gain +1 attack for each other beast you have. Feels like it's just
Trash.
worse. Yeah, it feels worse than Sludge
Yeah.
Belcher.
Yeah,
It's worse than
pass.
Houndmaster.
Yeah.
If you have a beast you want to play Houndmaster, then that card's amazing. But this card's like, okay, if you have a beast, it's Fin Creeper? Whoa! If you have 2, it's Druid of the Claw? And
Whoa!
that's situational? Whoa! And you can only taunt it.
Oh my gosh!
Terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the card is just as bad as its artwork.
It's very inspiring. Yeah, I'm not on board with that one. But Gahz'rilla, on the other hand, 7 mana, 6/9. Whenever this takes damage, double its attack. Wow. I mean, you talk about minions that you cannot let stick around for a turn. This has got to be like one of the ones in the game you can't let stick around.
We talked about those crazy videos that those people are going to make. This is probably the craziest it's going to get. Seeing how high you can get this guy's attack.
Yeah,
But,
healing it up with voodoo doctors and stuff like that.
I think
Someone
this
call
card
for a
is
doctor.
extremely overhyped.
I
Really?
agree. I think it might be good enough though.
Okay,
Uh,
I will agree with you. I think
sure.
it is a little bit overhyped, but I still think it's very good.
Yeah, it could very well be fine, but definitely not very... this card's very, very overhyped.
This card's not going to be overpowered. No, it's
No,
never.
at no point in time.
This card's not going to rock the format, but it might be good enough just to be a big power play for Hunter.
It most
The
certainly
card is going to be the most powerful card in the Hunter control deck.
And Web Spinner.
No, probably not.
Web
But
Spinner.
yeah, it is definitely the best web spinner target.
It gives you another. Yeah, it gives you another great. What people actually commented. I saw some math. Web Spinner got about 25% better with this update. They gave us 2 really nice beasts and 2 pretty bad ones, but you know
Admiral,
it's.
can you unban Newberry? Because I've tried like 5 times. It's not working.
Someone's just snap-bearing Newberry.
All I can say is, if like Blizzard, obviously with the Steamwheedle Sniper and this Gahz'rilla wants players to go on a more control-based Hunter trip, and I mean, with the Steamwheedle Sniper, and with if you consider the cards that have been played in previous Control Hunters, every Control Hunter I think had Pyromancer or something like that, like for the Pyromancer Hunter's Mark comp, for example. So along with Pyromancer, Gahz'rilla will also synergize very well, and therefore I think Gahz'rilla is going to be a staple in that kind of deck.
You're definitely gonna have to find a way to kill this in one turn, just out of the blue.
100%. All right, that's going to end Hunter cards. And guys, we've been doing this for almost 3 hours right now, so we're actually going to take a short break. Give us a chance to get up, walk around for a moment. You know, maybe use the bathroom if we got to. So, guys, hang tight. We're not going anywhere. We still got the rest of the classes to cover. And then that's going to wrap it up for in terms of the GvG set review. So, short break's coming in. Maybe, let's say 2 minutes, and then we'll be right back. So, guys...
Can you like mod
go
Newberry? Because he's still banned.
yeah, I'll do it in a second.
Okay.
Alright, are we off?
No.
No? Sweet. Hey,
Alright, guys, we're back. We're doing some more set review stuff. We just finished up with Hunter and Gahz'rilla. So yeah, Warrior's gonna be next. Warbot, 1 mana, 1/3, enrage, +1 attack. I don't see anything special here.
Oh, I kind of like this card. You serious?
I don't really like it that much. I think it's pretty bad.
Seems like a 1 mana 2/2.
There's a reason they put this. There's a reason they put this in the warrior class. If it were a warlock card, you'd be like, "Whoa, this is fantastic!"
This is a warrior lock card. No, I actually, I don't know. I think this card could be playable in some random metas. Probably not though. I guess. But it does seem like you could just Taskmaster this guy and get in there. I don't know.
I feel like this needed taunt. I don't know. Maybe that's too much, but
Yeah, it might need. No, if it had taunt, it'd be really good.
yeah.
Probably throw it over the top. It is good. It is a good anti aggro card.
Yeah, it deals with 2/1s, and maybe if 2/1s are a thing, this is great.
Kind of maybe like it more than Zombie Chop. Nah, I don't like it more than Zombie Chop. Yeah, I guess this card's trash.
That didn't take long. Ekop.
Yeah, I kind of like the card, considering it has decent stats for a 1 mana mech. It might seem play. I don't know if warrior deck or if warrior mechs is actually that good. I mean, I generally always when I think about warrior, I always think about control type of warriors and not necessarily like mech warriors. But if actually the Gazlowe warrior will become decent, then Warbot might be a good addition in that. Who knows?
But
Am I the only person that thought Mech Warriors was funny? Come on.
Warbot doesn't trigger Gazlowe, though, I don't think.
Oh yeah, you're right. I mean,
Spells. Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Okay, then never mind. But still, like even then, you kind of want that mech
Poor Warbot.
in a mech deck. Maybe. Who knows?
Ogre Warball. 3 mana, 4/2, 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy. Is there too many weapons for Warrior?
There's
to
too
make
many
this?
weapons.
Yeah.
Way too many. You already see in tournaments, you see players draw 3 or 4 weapons, and you think, ew, like, how do you fit this in?
Yeah.
This is like for
You
arena,
might-
right?
You might play this in like Priest or something, but definitely not in Warrior.
You might play it in Priest. I think you would definitely play this card if it was available in Priest. I think it'd be great for Priest.
Yeah, in order for a weapon to be playable for warrior, it has to be better than Fireworks and Deathbite, and this card is
Yeah.
worse than both.
Agreed. Bouncing Blades, 3 mana, epic. Deal 1 damage to a random minion. Repeat until a minion dies. Initially, I thought this card was really good because I thought it was only your opponent's minions, and I realized it was your own. So I think it's really good
This
if the
card's
board's.
really good.
I think it's really good if the board is completely cleared, and your opponent just has like one guy in play. But I don't know if
is
like sometimes it's just gonna
Warrior.
kill your
They're
own
never-
guy.
You never have minions in play. You're playing Warrior.
What if you have like a Sludge Belcher out?
I think this card's insane. Like, I think this card could easily replace Brawl, which is already the most situational card in the deck. It kills Ragnaros pretty easily. It kills Alex Strasza pretty easily. Like, let's say you have an Armor Smith in play and they play Ragnaros. You just run your Armor Smith in and then Bouncing Blades.
If you replace Brawl with Bouncing Blade, as a Shaman player, I am 100% okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. It's going to have Sheep in there, too. Shaman deals 3 damage.
Yeah,
less.
that's true.
Right. This card is very, 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 very good.
I don't see it replacing Brawl, but it's like a Deadly Shot to me.
I don't think Brawl
Yeah,
is going to be...
I think it's like
way better than
kinda like
Deadly Shot.
There's a 0% chance that Brawl is in Warrior from now on.
Oh,
0.
no way, dude. Brawl is like still like one of the best cards in the game. It's like one of the most influential deck building cards in the game. Like when people know you don't have Brawl, they can get greedy as hell. And when people know that you have Brawl,
Kit Kats and I have talked about this for like 2 hours.
yeah,
Brawl
well,
is
guess
definitely...
what? Kit Kat's definitely lied to you, 100%. Like, Brawl is not coming out of Warrior decks, and when it comes out of Warrior decks, people are gonna realize that, and they're gonna run you over with little shit.
What little shit? You don't keep Brawl against Zoo. If you keep Brawl in your opener
The point
against
is
Zoo,
that
you
the
are
point is that
doozy.
you can draw Brawl, and it makes a big impact in the game. And all the other classes, it makes a big impact too.
Brawl is only good
All right.
against
I think this argument has nothing to do with goblins
That's
versus
true.
gnomes.
Okay.
So
Yeah. That's
But
definitely true.
I do think this card is actually quite good.
I do agree
little-
with this card.
a little-
What I do
a little
agree with
less
this card
good now that they put in Crush or whatever, but... Well, sorry. Like, this card was a lot better before that card Crush was shown.
No doubt about it. Ekop?
Yeah. I do agree with this card potentially replacing Brawl. I feel like this card has much more proper use in a warrior deck and kind of fulfills the same role in certain matchups. I feel like if you combine it with minions like Armorsmith and Acolyte of Pain, or even Unstable Ghoul, it's really, really good.
Wow. I can't believe you guys are thinking Brawl replacement.
Yeah, I mean, in like obviously not against a bunch of small minions, but if you play against a bunch of big minions, then for sure.
Yeah, it's better against Druid for sure.
And if you're still playing against small minions, a bunch of small minions, then Warrior has plenty of ways to deal with those, so you don't really need the Brawl anymore, I would say. So I agree on that part.
Yeah, I don't see Brawl coming out.
I think Bouncing Blade is sweet. I think it's a very cool effect. It synergizes very well with all the Warrior cards, and it's a very good board clear. It's like way better than just Deadly Shot because it also damages other minions potentially heavily. So yeah, I feel like this card is very powerful potentially.
I see it being in Warrior decks. I don't see Brawl coming out. Like, I think you just change the way you build your Warrior decks. No way Brawl's coming out. Very mixed opinions on this card. Guys, we're going to have to see how this ends up working, because I see some people just always blowing up their own minion and being like, dang it! And then I see some people, like, juggling it between all of your 5 health guys 4 times, and then it killing the last one. And you're like, of course. Like, those situations are pretty reasonable.
But you don't cast Brawl when you're ahead on board either. Kind of the same thing. That's why this card replaces that card.
Fair enough. I can kind of see that.
Right.
Screw Jank Clunker. Pretty good with that Warbot. 4 mana, 2/5. Give a friendly mech +2/+2. This feels a lot like Houndmaster to me. I think this card's actually really good.
That Warbot synergy.
It works really well with Mech Yeti, I think. I think that's where it's best.
I'm not even going to talk about this card at its best because I think this card's just awful. But
What?
I'll pass.
I think the bad part about it is 2/5 is like a really awful stat distribution.
Yeah.
I mean, Houndmaster seems better, and Houndmaster's been getting cut a lot. In Hunter, that's a different scenario, but I'm not sure if Warrior decks want this kind of thing. I don't play a lot of Warriors, so I don't know, but...
Ekop?
So obviously you have to consider the card that you can play before that. So on curve it would be like a Spider Tank, or what's the card name? Like 3/4.
Yeah.
So yeah, just turning a 3/4 into a 5/6 on turn 4 just seems amazing. I mean, a 3/4 on turn 3 is most likely to survive no matter what. It's very hard to deal with. So I see this card potentially see some play in a Warrior Mech deck, I would say. Also, obviously, love Annoytron, one of my favorite mechs. Just insane, I think. Of course, the stats could have been a little bit better, but I think it's fair.
I think
it's a fair card.
I think the stats on this guy at one point were a little bit better in development, and they were like, wow, this is too good. And they had to tone it back. Like, I think this card's like... I mean, this is Houndmaster.
You just have to be running Spider Tank, you have to be running Yeti. It changes the dynamic of what we've built in Warrior, and so I think we're just going to have to wait and see if it works.
I think it's just good in that regard. Oh,
I feel the card for how it's for how the stats are, even though the stats are pretty bad, the snowball potential is just insane with the Spider Tank.
Also, this is another one of those cards where I think they made it, and they're like, whoa, where can we even put this? This card's insane. And they're like, oh, just throw it in Warrior. And then they're like, perfect!
I could definitely see that. Siege Engine, 5 mana, 5/5. Whenever you gain armor, give this minion +1 attack. 5-drop slots are pretty tough to contest Sludge Belcher with. And Loatheb at the same time. I don't see this guy making the cut.
Loatheb, Sludge Belcher, that Bob Bomber guy, the gain 8 life guy. Yeah, this guy can't. He's not going to squeeze in, especially in a Warrior.
Yeah, this is just a very, like...
It's a gimmicky card.
Yeah.
Like, if you Whirlwind with an Armorsmith out and then Shield Block, you know,
sweet. I mean...
And then give it charge and whoa! This card's insane!
You could play this guy and then like Shield Block and Hero Power, and it does smack him for 12. So like that is a thing, but
Wait. You do get...
He's cooking up a charge.
No,
deck right now.
wait. It's for each armor you get, or whenever you gain armor?
Whenever you gain armor, give this
So
many
if you
plus
play
one
shield
Oh,
block,
oh,
you get
oh.
plus one attack.
so it's even
Oh,
worse.
okay. This card's trash. Let's just fucking
Just move on.
Oh my gosh.
Next.
Yeah, Shield Maiden, 6 mana, 5/5, gain 5 armor. I think this card is pretty underwhelming, but everyone seems to disagree with me.
I think that Armor Smith is one of the worst cards in the Warrior. I have said this for I don't know how long. I've never once played a Warrior deck that has 2 of them, and will be very happy to cut that card from Warrior. And I think that this card could actually make it to where you can cut that card.
Huh. I think they're kind of different. I think the only purpose Armorsmith has in your deck is so that when your opponent plays a Leper Gnome, you have 2 more cards in your deck that counter that.
Bingo.
Nah, it's just to be able to activate Shield Slam whenever you get out aggroed for the first couple of turns.
I disagree with you.
Yeah, I disagree with that, because if they're ahead, a 1/4 is just the worst stats in the game.
We're discussing Armorsmith though, so we're discussing
Yeah.
Shield Maiden right here.
And Shield Maiden just lets you activate armor. Or
Right, I
Shield
think
Slam.
this is a different card than Armorsmith was my point. I think this is more along the lines of, like, the Sludge Belcher slot.
I mean, I think this card fits Warrior perfectly in the way like Guardian of Kings fits Paladin
hang on.
perfectly.
I'll be right back. 1 second.
Alright.
So I think that the Shield Maiden, just like Guardian of Kings, is good for Control Paladin, will be good for Warrior. Even better probably because of the synergy with Shield
It's
Slam.
definitely better just because of the synergy.
Yeah.
Well, since Admirable's gone, we can't really change the slide. Do we want to move on and just keep talking without showing the picture?
No,
I mean,
no,
the
no,
next
just
guy
wait.
you need to see.
Yeah, the next guy's pretty insane. Yeah, Warrior actually is like my best class. So like
Inside sources tell me Shield Maiden's good. Expect it to get played.
All right. Well, I am back. I think I disaster narrowly averted there for a second. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Wait,
I don't know.
what
I didn't.
disaster?
It's just a bunch of noise was about to happen at my house,
okay.
so I had to stop it. Someone was about to start playing drums. Yeah, I'm not convinced on Shield Maiden. Again, everyone has told me that I am stupid.
I don't think I
otherwise.
definitely don't think this is a 2 of. I think it's a 1 of. But
I think it's just
I like
garbage.
it.
Like I never see playing this over Sylvanas.
nah, it would be an
I think
addition
they're
to it.
just different cards, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Sylvanas is just I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Not better.
Yeah.
Like, they do entirely separate things.
Sure. I mean, we'll see what's going on, but
Yep.
this next one though,
Baby.
very mixed opinions about it. Iron Juggernaut.
I'm
the Juggernaut,
bitch!
Yeah, I wonder if that. I hope that's his battle cry. 6 mana, 6/5 battle cry.
Who has mixed opinions on this
Shuffle
one?
a mine into your opponent's deck. When it's drawn, it explodes for 10 damage. So when they draw the mine, they are going to draw a card also. That's part of what the mine does. But they take 10 damage. I've seen so many people on Reddit hate this card, and I have no idea why. Like, what more can you ask for from a Warrior card?
The stats are below average, but that's because sometimes you just 10 your opponent.
You just Pyroblast eventually. Like, this is like this is a time bomb, and you're like, oh no. Like, do you want to keep life tapping if you have a Pyroblast that goes off in your deck? Like, I don't want that. This card seems amazing
I would
to
keep
me.
life tapping.
I want this game to be over.
You're not going to stop me.
I think this is probably top 5 legendaries in the game right now. And also, I think that if this was in any other class, it would actually probably be overpowered.
You guys remember those games where, like, Kalento and Strifeco are playing and they're calculating everything and they go to fatigue and all this?
Yeah.
Just imagine that one of those turns they just get Pyroblasted.
Yeah.
Take
Game's
10,
over.
buddy.
What?
Game's over. Rough time.
What a great card! Like I cannot wait to see what the golden mine looks like.
I cannot wait to see the salt of all the players
I don't
playing
want to
against
see
this
what the
card.
golden mine looks like. That means I'm dead.
I'm actually kind of not happy that this card is printed, just because I really don't want to lose this card very often, and I think it's going to happen.
I can't
So-
wait to lose this card. This card's awesome.
You can't
This
beat
card is
the
going to be in
Juggernaut.
every Control Warrior.
There's no way that your Linguini can win against a Rigatoni like that.
But I definitely think that this is one of the better cards that they've made. Like, this card.
Oh my gosh. What a great card. Guys, like, wow, look out. I mean, these are Trollton highlights right here, where the guy's like, there's no way he can win, I'm just gonna kill him. And then the Druid, like, has Force of Nature Savage Roar, and they just rip they just rip the Mind, and they're like, no!
And
Look out, man. That card's busted. Another card that I think is very good, a lot better than Bouncing Blades, Crush. 7 mana, destroy a minion. But if you have a damage minion, it costs 4 less.
yeah, I'm actually kind of confused about this card. If it's a 2 of or 1 of, it seems more like a 1 of. Like, you know, three casting cost is pretty good. But yeah, I'm a little confused with this card. I know it's for sure a 1 of. I don't think it's gonna be a 2 of. I mean, also in Warrior, 7 mana to destroy a bomb is really not that bad. Like, if you're 7 mana destroying Ragnaros, like, you're kind of happy with that turn. So, I think a 1 of is probably fine. Maybe a 2 of.
I don't really have a great opinion on this.
Yeah, you're not a Warrior player.
Yeah,
we'll just exclude Chakki from Warrior for now.
Whoops, my bad,
Go
guys.
grab a Snapple, take a break. Ekop.
I'm not sure if Warrior actually needs a card like this, because you already have access to Execute and Shield Slam, and yeah, even Bouncing Blade or slash Brawl, whatever. So, do you really need a card like that? I'm not sure.
Again, I don't think it's a matter of need. I think it's like
I think having more removal is never a bad thing in a deck that all it does is kill things.
Not only that, but like Warrior, like the dynamic of it can get changed so many different ways now, and this gives you like more options for stuff. Like, one of the worst feelings in the world is when you have to execute something really early, and then you can't execute something later, and this helps shore that up.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the card is definitely not bad. I would probably never play it over an Execute or Shield Slam, that's for sure. But yeah, if you want to add more removal to your deck, sure. Crush is
I kind of do like...
It seems kind of hard to set up, even though Warrior, in theory, like, Warrior is a class that can set it up probably the best out of all the classes.
Yeah.
With the exception of Mage, maybe. But even then, even though it seems so easy to set up, it still might be awkward more than you think.
I do kind of like the little game inside of the game with this card, where they had to clear like your minions more often. So that is kind of a cool aspect, that it actually does kind of change the way that your opponent has to play against you. Like, maybe they can't leave that, you know, Armor Smith or whatever alive.
Yeah. And it also gets activated by Injured Blade Master. Ha!
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sick.
I kind of wish this card could also destroy weapons alternatively.
Oh gosh, that would be
pretty cool.
That'd be so good.
Because
I think it's
I
good.
remember cards from WTCG that destroyed both weapons or minions.
Warrior players.
Alright, we're moving on to Paladin cards. Shielded Minibot, 2 mana, 2/2, Divine Shield, Mech. I cannot tell you how many times I wish that Ardent Protector could just target itself. And now it can.
Yeah.
Now it has to.
I like this card a lot. Like, this card is actually good in control, and it's also good in the aggro version of Paladin.
Very good point.
And yeah, like, this card is very, very, very good. I like this card a lot.
Yeah, it's one of the best class-specific mechs, so... yeah. Good things for Paladin.
Also, Paladin really needed a 2-drop that wasn't
gosh.
a 1/1.
Yeah, we needed something other than reporting for duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in there, sir!
Reporting for duty! Yeah, this card is filling up a great slot. It has a lot of, like, potential synergies with something like Blood Knight. Like, because now you have you have an extra Divine Shield minion that classes don't have. Like, this guy can set that up, too. Because now you can just jam in a Noyatron, Argent, Squire, and this guy, and you have so many ways to activate Blood Knight on turn 3.
Yeah, I mean, just also imagine how awesome. Like, turn 1 Leopard Gnome, turn 2 this guy, turn 3 that equipment that gives one of them a random Divine Shield. Like, that draw is pretty sick versus any deck. I mean, I don't care what deck they're playing. Like, that draw's just sick.
I feel like Paladin's got some of the best early game cards in the game with this set.
Definitely.
And it needed it, because it was just only reliant on neutral minions to kind of go from there. And this card is no exception. Seal of Light. Restore 4 health to your hero, gain +2 attack this turn. This is just like, I don't see Holy Light getting played anymore while this exists.
Yep.
I completely agree.
There's just no way Holy Light's
totally let
Said enough.
Yeah, and it just not only that, but this like will help buff True Silver Champion, and like it just does everything that like you want Holy Light to do. You're just like, man, I just wish Holy Light could deal damage. Well, now it does. I'm actually going to skip ahead 2 cards to talk about another card that this one's with. We'll come back to Scarlet Purifier, but I want to go straight to Muster for Battle while we're talking about Seal of Light. Summons 3 Silverhand recruits, and you equip a 1/4 weapon. Like, the 1/4 weapon seems not very stellar, but like that extra point of damage goes a long way, especially when you combine this with something like Seal of Light.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, though, I don't see Muster for Battle combined with the Seal of Light, because I kind of feel like Muster for Battle is more of an aggressive kind of card, and Seal of Light more of a defensive kind of card.
Wow.
Sure, we might see Muster for Battle in some defensive Paladin decks, but I doubt it.
I think you'll see Muster for Battle on defensive
Muster
decks.
for Battle is... I think it's a controlled card, too.
Yeah. You'll see
Yeah,
Light
maybe.
coming up.
This is just unleash the dudes. You get 3 hero powers for 3 mana, and you get something else out of it. Like if you didn't equip a 1/4 weapon, this would be decent.
Weapon.
Yeah, I think this card's great. I don't know exactly like how good this card's going to be yet. I don't think it's like going to be overwhelming, but it's just like stuff that you want for Paladin. You're like a lot of little annoying things that add up to a lot at the end of the day. Maybe just me. Ekop doesn't like it.
I think it's good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good too. So now we're actually, does this restore 4 health to your hero? Okay, so this can't heal minions. That was something I was curious about when I read Seal of Light. So that is a little bit of a change from Holy Light.
But,
Holy Light
how many
stuff.
times were you Holy Lighting a minion?
A lot more than you think.
Yeah, but I think the reason you put it in your deck was in case they went aggro on you.
For sure.
And so, in this case, Seal of Light fills the same role.
All right, going to Scarlet Purifier.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess that's fine. Like Holy Light also like.
Man, screw
Like,
Holy Light, let's move on.
Yeah, Holy Light sucks. Scarlet Purifier, 3 mana, 4/3, deal 2 damage to all minions with Death Rattle. Everyone's going to be trying to kill their own Ruby Nugs on day 1, right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
my actual thought with the card.
I mean, you're going to be killing mine, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Everyone's talking about like how good this card is, but like
I don't think it's
really double-edged sword with killing your opponent's Nerubian eggs. That's like not a thing you want to be doing.
Or even Haunted Creepers.
Yeah, or even like you activate so much stuff of your opponents. Like
You're just proccing Death Rattles.
yeah, I don't see this being like a very good card at all. In fact, I think it's in here to deceive people, so that way everyone plays with it on day 1, and like everyone who's thinking ahead is like, well, all right, I'll just play Death Rattles then. And then they're
It's
like,
kind of deceptive. It's kind of deceptive. I agree. I mean, if you compare it to that other card, that neutral one, what's the name? What was the name again?
Little Exorcist.
Yeah, Little Exorcist.
yeah,
that card is how the anti-death rattle card is supposed to look like, not
Yeah.
Scarlet Purifier.
this card is an activator. Like you should be looking to activate your own Death Rattles for this, not the other way around.
yeah, it also activates sheep, which is pretty decent.
Yeah, but then it makes this into a 4/1.
I mean,
That's like Alkanai
you're,
Circle.
you're still just looking for a way to activate your sheep, which Paladin doesn't actually have a way to activate them yet.
Do they not? They do just have Consecrate, guys. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but they could.
like they're the class that already had
But
the
still, I
explosive.
think 4 consecrates is better than 2.
Is it?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you need 4?
I don't see Wild Pyromancer coming out. Let's just put it that way. Now, Explosive Sheep and then Equality, that does seem kind of, interesting to me. We're going to move on to Coghammer, though. This is the card that I am, for Paladin anyway, that I'm most excited about. 3 mana, 2/3 weapon. Give a Battle Cry, give a random friendly minion Divine Shield and Taunt. Like, holy crap. Like, Ancient Watcher and this guy's pasta is crazy.
I don't know if you can put Ancient Watcher in your deck because of the whole random part. But I do think this weapon is crazy good. I think it's already, you look at Stormforged Axe and you think that's a pretty good card. It's a basically 3 mana 2/3 weapon. You give it this Battle Cry and it's like, whoa.
Like, what's going on? This card...
I think this is probably the best Paladin released card, or whatever, in this set.
I think my only worry is with Muster for Battle, this True Silver Champion, you kind of run into the Warrior dilemma where it's like, how many weapons can I realistically play in this deck? And I think it's probably going to end up being about 4.
I do think that with the existence of this card, that Harrison is going to become way more playable.
Yeah.
Ekop.
Yeah, if you plan on playing Master for Battle, you usually will not play Cockhammer just because of the risk of buffing something shitty. I think that True Silver will always be a staple of Paladin, no matter what kind of deck you play. So, sure, you could combine it with Cockhammer, I think, or you could combine it with Master for Battle / Sword of Justice, maybe. Like, because Sword of Justice plus Master for Battle is actually also a pretty sick combo. You have Sword of Justice out, and combine and follow it up with Master for Battle. All the dudes get buffed, and then the Sword of Justice gets replaced.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have a problem replacing my 1/4 weapon. That's just I think you're playing that for the 3 tokens, and then like the 1/4 weapon you get is like hopefully you pick off like a leper gnome or something.
I disagree with Ekop, because if you give a 1/1 Divine Shield and Taunt, that's like really good for an aggro deck. No, it is
Annoying.
Yeah, that's why you play Shield Bearer.
That's an Oiltron.
Yeah, like I actually disagree. I think they go in the same deck, but.
Then just hero power, and then play your Cockhammer, whatever.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
What hammer, Ekop? Jeez.
Let's not entertain chat any more than they need to be at this point. Come on. We're gonna move on to Cobalt Guardian. 5 mana 6/3. Whenever you summon a mech, gain Divine Shield. What the fuck? Like this card is garbage.
Yeah.
6/3. You're like, play this, and they're like, attack it with my Flame Imp. And you're like, fuck. What's going on?
Wait
this
a
card's
second.
trash.
Does it get Divine Shield when you play it?
No, it doesn't. Trash.
It is a mech itself.
I think it's very, very good in Arena.
In Arena, I can definitely... I mean, every minion's good in Arena. You're just like, oh, it did something sweet.
Yeah,
wow,
but
I can't believe it's not Grimscale Oracle.
this guy could actually just, like, kill, like, 3 minions in Arena, where you just, like, play it, mech, kill your guy, mech. Like, it's pretty decent in Arena. But in Constructed, it's probably
Trash.
pretty bad.
You got
I mean, even in Arena, it's potentially worse than Salty Doggy. So... Just leave it at that.
Which is pretty tough to do.
That is true, yeah.
Which is pretty tough to do. Quartermaster, 5 mana 2/5. This is for all you people who like Dust. Give your Silverhand recruits +2/+2. Wow.
You're not Dustin Quartermaster.
Yeah, no, trash tier.
What?
Yeah, trash tier.
This card's great.
Wait, you think this card's great, but you don't think that the Scrapyard Junk card or whatever it's called, the 2/5 that gives a mech +2/+2?
I said that card was good. Not
oh, that was Backspace that said it was bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Backspace said it was bad. I said I think it might be worse than Houndmaster.
I mean, how many tokens do you get with this guy? Like
Muster for battle.
This card's terrible. I don't care what you guys say.
Whoa.
This is not
So
filling my 5
you
drop
want
slot.
to play Master for Battle, but you don't want to play this guy? Come on, they go hand in hand.
No, they don't go hand in hand because
They do.
the Muster for Battle tokens are meant to die like the turn after you play them, and this
But
card.
with Quartermaster, they don't.
If you play them on turn 8, huh?
I think
No,
I
you
think
don't
this card's
understand.
pretty
Turn 8
good.
is realistic for Paladin, though. Like
Yeah,
that's,
I think this card's pretty.
Really?
Pretty.
that's like saying I think you're looking at it from a point of view of we used to think combo was bad in Druid, but like once the deck started getting built correctly, it was like perfect. And
This
I think
is not Druid combo. Let's clarify that right now. This is not
A
14
combo.
damage.
It does put 3
It's a
creatures
combo.
into play.
We used to think Force of Nature Savage Roar was terrible.
I
I'm
never
just gonna
thought. So
throw that out.
the first time I saw it played, I was like, "Wow, that's really good." I've actually played Druid
like
pretty much ever since
Quartermaster.
then.
I like Quartermaster too.
Ekop.
I like him if you play Master for Battle. Other than that, no thanks.
All right, 3-1. I think this card's terrible. These 3 guys say it's actually going to be played. So
If you
know,
play Master for Battle, that is.
tread lightly when you're disenchanting cards. I wouldn't play it. But speaking of cards that I don't think are very good, this card seems really counterintuitive. 5 mana 1/7. Whenever a friendly minion dies and this card is in your hand, you gain +1 attack. Now, what's exciting about this card is the idea that cards are going to do something while they're in your hand without your opponent knowing about it. But this card individually, like, when the fuck are you going to use this card? Like, are you going to keep it in your hand and be like, yes, now my guys are going to die, so Bolvar can be a 6/7?
Sweet.
Yeah,
I got a silenceable Boulder Fist Ogre.
Is it possible that Paladin was just so good that they had to like not make this card very good? Like, why would they waste Bolvar on this guy? Bolvar's like one of the baddest ass guys in the World of Warcraft, and they used it for this.
No, I don't fucking know why they even would.
This card's never getting buffed.
Ekop.
I just don't understand why they made it the effect silenceable. I think it should just be static, pretty much. Like when it enters play, it immediately has that attack.
Muster for battle synergy.
Okay, so the best case is it's a Boulder Fist Ogre for 5. Let's say that's unsilenceable. That you still have to have the criteria of, okay, it was in your hand early and 5 minions died and then you played it. Worst case is like you draw it late, or it's BGHable, which I think is going to be a big deal.
Like, you're never keeping this guy in your opening hand. When does he have a chance to grow?
I think it easily could have been made unsilenceable and still, like, it would not be broken.
That's true.
Backspace?
I just like the idea of the card. I think the card's awful. I think it's 400 dust.
Yep, I agree with you.
Oh, God, when you say
But I think the idea, what they were trying to do, is fantastic. Like, I would love to know that my opponents have to play around something that they... Because you already kind of do play around things that your opponent has, like, without, But I do like the idea that you might have to play around something that's in your opponent's hand.
Yeah, I agree with you. We're moving on to Shaman cards now.
Abaz says Boulevars to balance recombobulator.
that might be why they added it, honestly. My gosh. Yeah, guys, with Bolvar, this activates while it's in your hand. So every time a minion dies on your side of the board while this is in your hand, it stacks on here. Now, this is a buff, like, when you play it. So it is silenceable. If you return it to your hand, it's not going to have power. If it gets shadow stepped, if for some reason your opponent steals it and they reincarnate it, if this guy's leaving play, he's losing all of his power. So it's just, I don't know. I'm not seeing this ever being played over Sludge Belcher. It's just like, just no fucking way it's going to happen. This card's terrible. So yeah, Shaman cards. Whirling Zap-o-matic, 2 mana, 3/2 Wind Fury. Now, I think this card is like, it's like kind of frightening. You're like, holy crap, I have to kill that. And then you look at your hand and you're like, I can't kill that. I'm dead.
Yeah, I said that in another review. Yeah, I actually really like this card. I think this card's good. It's essentially a 6/4 for 2 mana. I like it a lot.
I don't think it's a 6/4 for 2 mana. I don't think that's how Wind Fury works, but I think it's good.
No, I think it's a 6/4. I think if you're playing this card, it's almost always going to the face. So
that doesn't give it 4 health, though.
Oh, I meant 6/2, not 6/4.
Yeah, it might.
Okay, I was a little confused too.
Yeah.
I think a nice analogy would be it's a 3/2 that when you play it, if it lives, it does 3 damage to your opponent's face. And I think it's a good card in an aggressive Shaman deck, which I don't think is that great right now. But again, with all this stuff changing, I think aggressive Shaman can become a thing, and I think it would be nice. So this card's pretty good.
Ekop.
Yeah, I love that card. I mean, I'm really hoping aggressive Shaman is going to be a thing, especially with the new burn cards coming up, Crackle and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to playing Whirling Zap-o-matic, that's for sure.
If this guy gets
I always thought that Shaman kind of lacks a decent 2-drop, even though it had some 2-drops here and there, but they were never really that exciting. Like
Nothing that was threatening. Like Knife Juggler's like, yeah, it's kind of threatening, but it's not going to have the same impact as this guy's going to have, which is like, as soon as your opponent plays this, you know they mean business. Like, this is everything Dust Devil wanted to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. Definitely, also a fantastic arena card. Don't underestimate that card. But of course, one of my favorite cards in the set that everyone seems to hate, Crackle. 2 mana for 3 to 6 damage, Overload 1. I love this card.
This is one of the best cards in the set.
Yeah, this is hands down one of the best cards in the set.
And
yeah, this card is just straight up better than Lava Burst.
Look out for me just crackling my opponent's face twice in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, this is what this card's all about. Like, a lot of people talk about how shitty this card is because of the RNG, but let's do a little bit of math for a second. So Lightning Bolt is 1 mana, Overload a 1, so effective 2 mana for 3 damage. Crackle is a 50% increase in mana cost. It goes from 2 to 3, and it's a 50% increase in damage expectation. On average, this deals 4.5 damage. Obviously, 4.5 damage isn't something you get. You get 3, 4, 5, or 6. But this card just like, it's not replacing Lightning Bolt, but it just goes alongside with it. Like, this, like, what Shaman deck am I not putting this in?
I can't tell you the answer to that right now. I think almost every Shaman deck's going to throw this in there.
I can't imagine not playing.
Fantastic. I think what people are afraid of is when the Shaman's in a very desperate situation where there's a 6 health minion and they're like, well, I hope I can crackle it. And then sometimes it'll happen and they'll be like, that's so stupid. Like, there's no way he should have been able to kill that with a 2-mana card. But most of the time, you don't have to take that risk. So I think it is RNG, but it's not going to be as big of a deal as people think.
Yeah, I feel like if the card was deal 3 to 5 damage, it would have been good already, because then it would have been like the perfect mix between Lava Burst and Lightning Bolt, cost to damage wise. But because it's actually deals potentially more damage than Lava Burst, it's actually way better.
Yeah.
I like all of the burn in Shaman with Jeeves. I'm definitely going to try it out.
Yes!
Turn 1, we're just lightning bolting your face.
I'm not going to have time to use that later.
Go to 27. Let's play. Let's play a game of Hearthstone.
And of course, the question that's on everyone's mind is, when are they making the Shaman cards snap and pop? Vitality Totem. I think this is a card that Shamans are actually going to kind of enjoy. 2 mana, 0/3. At the end of your turn, restore 4 health to your hero.
Yeah, it's good.
It's pretty good.
Gain 7 life with an upside to maybe gain 11. Maybe,
It's not always going to be in your deck, but when it is, there's a reason it is. And in that case, it's something that Shaman didn't have and they needed, and it's great.
I agree.
Yeah, this is definitely a card that Shaman needed. I was always hoping that at some point Blizzard would just revert the change from Healing Totem, not healing your hero, into healing your hero again.
Yeah.
But that Vitality Totem, I agree. I'm happy that this there. I'm not sure which weapon of choice Shaman will take for healing, if it's going to be the Vitality Totem or the Ancient Repair Bot. So we'll see what happens on that field. But I mean, both cards are very strong, the Heal Bot and the Vitality Totem alike. It just depends on preference, I guess.
Not to mention the Totemic Might synergy that's coming out of that card. Power Mace. 3 mana.
We talked about 0-cost mana spells. Pretty good.
3 mana, 3/2 weapon. Death Rattle, give a random friendly mech +2/+2. If this was Battlecry, it would be insane, I think. But Death Rattle, still not a bad card. I think this card has a really nice place in Shaman.
Yep, I agree.
I could care less about the other text. It's 3 mana, it deals 6.
You're smacking your opponent's face. This is a bow.
Like I said, this card, Shaman is pretty much becoming a burn deck. So,
and this hits the Wind Fury guy, by the way. It buffs him.
Yes! Punish them! Get them, Whirling Zap-o-matic!
You're probably going to play the Spider Tank, and it hits that for a 5/6. Like,
oh my god, dude. That's
great. It's like it's like the Houndmaster effect, but it's on a weapon, and weapons are always fantastic. So
yeah, and you can control when you. This card's even better because you can actually control when you give the +2/+2. That's awesome.
Ekop.
Buff your Whirling Zap-o-matic.
Yeah. That's 10 to the face.
Yeah,
you're about to know what 10 to the face is.
Yeah, now it finally has 4 health that Backspace thought it had earlier.
I'm fucking dyslexic, motherfucker.
Dunemaul Shaman, 4 mana, 5/4. Wind Fury, Overload 1. 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy. This guy scares the crap out of me.
I think this is probably one of the best cards that they've shown.
Okay, Taylor Webb, a good friend of ours. He was a really good Hearthstone player. He just didn't have time to commit to playing, but my gosh, he was good. One time we were in a debate over whether or not we should attack the face for 10 or split it up among his minions. And he went, is this a question right now? You attack him for 10. Do you know what I would do for 10 damage? Do you know what I would do for a 50% chance to deal 10 damage? Well, now Taylor's got his wish. Dunemaul Shaman's like a 50% chance to deal 10 damage. Holy crap, this guy's good.
Literally, the turn that you play, if they don't deal with it, they're taking 10.
10 damage!
Oh my god, guys, at the cost of Overload 1.
Oh no! I get to buff my Unbound Elemental. What a drawback.
Overload on the worst turn in Shaman, the old turn 5. Like, No, this card's ridiculous. Not to mention, you should actually be able to burn their 1 or 2 minions in play and just 10 them.
Yeah.
Kicats and I actually had an argument about this card on stream, and like 40 seconds into it, he goes, "I completely changed my mind. This is insane."
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
The only card this runs into problems with are 4/4s. So you're going to have to look out for 4/4s because 4 health is right out of Shaman's removal, including the weapon, Lightning Bolt, Rock Biter, all that. And 4 attack is what's going to kill this. So you're going to have to find a way to get rid of that 4/4. Maybe it's Crackle. Maybe you're just crackling that 4/4, but...
75% chance.
This card's insane.
I think this card's bonkers.
Ekop.
I don't like this card at all, to be fair.
Oh, geez.
I feel like if you put Overload on a minion, then that minion should at least have stats to survive whatever is usually on curve. Because then, yeah, I mean, if your opponent actually handles that minion, then you might fall behind because of that overload in terms of like dropping minions on curve. So I think that just because it's 4 health and not 5, for example, it's way worse.
Wow. Alright, well, Ekop doesn't like it, and he's the resident shaman. But I think this card is very good. Again, it's very fragile, but it's really dangerous. Like, you have to have a way to kill this guy, and I think that's kind of what they're gunning for, is like, you get punished for not having an answer to it.
Yeah, it is kind of weird that Shaman just doesn't have a taunt that gets rolled 25% of the time for 2 mana, but other than that, like, there's a 75% chance that your opponent can kill it with a weapon, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, Ancestor's Call, 4 mana. Put a random minion from each player's hand onto the battlefield. For all you Alarmabot guys, I think you finally found a card that you actually want.
Yeah.
But how good is this card? Because it definitely can... It can definitely really backfire in certain kinds of scenarios.
I'm going to say it's not going to be that great. And in the future, I know we've said this a lot,
Yeah.
it's a card that enables stuff, right? It's going to be something they have to balance around in the future, which I don't know if that's that great, because stuff like this in other games has been problematic. But for now, I think, you know, the most creative thing people have come up with is Malygos, and then you just burn them out. But the fact that you have to only have Malygos in your hand as the only minion is the hard part.
Yeah, in
Actually, it's not that hard. Because
Yeah.
You just play all your other minions.
Yeah, you play all your other minions, and you don't want the turn for Malygos anyway. You want to set up a turn with Malygos and all your burn at the same turn.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna say that this card's good. Now
We'll try the Malygos deck.
I mean, this is one of the more powerful Magic cards in Magic. So like, there's just no way this card could end up being bad.
Yeah, this card has a lot of potential for sure.
It's like
Yeah.
this is a card that like you really have to work on your deck building with it. And I think that's what they're gunning for, is they want people not only to be influenced by putting in cards that are problematic for their opponent, but also they want them to experiment with like building decks that are like, holy crap, like what just happened to me? Like that's like a really cool aspect of this card, is like, out of all the cards in the game, I feel like this one is the one that really kind of gets your mind rolling on how to build a deck that just does something stupid.
Yeah, I mean, like, somewhere on, like, turn 7 or 8, if you just play this, put a Malygos and play double Lightning Bolt your opponent. That's just...
I just think the deck that people are coming up with Malygos and you burn them out, I think it's probably more viable to just have an early aggression strategy and then burn them out without the +5 spell power.
I agree.
Your spells are already super good. You don't need Malygos Ancestors Call it back.
Just putting something like Ysera into play with this is like totally acceptable too. Like,
Yep.
you don't have to just put in Malygos.
You put something in your opponents in play.
I think it's probably worse than Ysera.
What if it's just their Ysera?
Well, that's the random. That's the.
I guess you're hexing it.
That's the part of this card that I find beautiful, is that it can backfire.
Also, Chakki, something that you're not thinking about is, like, it's a random minion, right? So, like, when you have this in your deck is pretty much only going to have really high casting cost minions. So your opponent's deck is not guaranteed to have a whole bunch of high casting.
All right. I don't think it's going to be very good right now.
I don't think right now it's going to be very good, but I think that people who are exceptional deck builders are going to make people cry with this card, and you're going to see some really crazy tournament stuff with this.
Yep,
the near
at some
future.
point in time in a tournament, they're just going to be like, and Ancestral's Call again, he drew it! And you're just going to be like, yep,
Yeah.
I lost to Ancestral's Call.
Moving on.
I'm calling this card is broken.
Are you talking about the one that we're looking at right now?
Ancestors Call. Ancestors Call.
Yeah, I think this card's busted.
It's
Like,
going to be broken.
no, don't know exactly when, but this card, it's a good card. Like, if you don't understand it, it's like, that's fine. It's like, this is one of the rewarding parts of Hearthstone is when you figure out why something that looks really shitty is actually really good. Like, you just kind of have to, like, it's like a wait and see, I told you so sort of thing. It's just, it's going to be infuriating. We're going to move on. The card's going to be good. It's something I'm going to talk about a lot in the future because I have a lot of things in my head that are working with that too. Siltfin Spiritwalker, 4-mana, 2/5, Murloc. Whenever another friendly Murloc dies, draw a card, overload 1. This seems like a
No.
what, like this is Cult Master.
For Murlocs only.
Yeah,
And
like
you keep bad Cult Master that for some reason has Overload.
It's really bad. This card is terrible. I say trash card.
Come on, guys. Give this card some credit. It's better than Cult Master in the sense that it has way better stats.
I do
For
agree that
example?
2/5 on a card like Cult Master is way better, but I mean, again, it's only Murlocs. Like, is that worth the trade-off?
Well, obviously you're gonna play a Murloc in an only Murloc deck, am I right? Like, what's the point of giving it other minions?
Well, that's the problem, is you're playing an only Murloc deck.
In Shaman.
I played a Shaman Murloc before in beta.
Look at how all over the place
A year ago.
Shaman cards are. We've
I
got
played Murlocs only a year ago. Alright, this is trash tier.
Shaman, Murloc Shaman, Control Shaman, Burn Shaman.
If you're a big Murloc fan, obviously this is a guy you want to keep an eye out for. Other than that, trash tier. Let's move on. And the Shaman Legendary, which I think is actually a little bit underwhelming. Neptulon. 7-mana, 7/7, Battlecry. Add 4 random Murlocs to your hand. Overload 3!
I think this card's good.
What?
Yeah.
Drawing 4 cards that says
So,
name is always good.
yeah, it's like 2 Thought Steals on a 7/7 body.
You're thought-stealing Murlocs, by the way.
Yes.
Like, you're not thought-stealing Ragnaros ever. You're never picking Brawl out of their hand. You never pick up a Fiery Orax, and you're
Listen,
like, wow, this is really good.
I don't want Brawl. I'm playing Shaman. I want Murlocs.
You can have all the Murloc Tide colors you want.
Listen, I'm just thinking a lot of Shaman games in the past go to 30 card fatigue.
Definitely.
And you're just looking for a very power play, and Ysera is kind of like hard to get in play. She costs 9. She can get Hex instantly. This guy instantly gives you what you wanted, which is extra steam. He's a 7/7, which is unfortunate. He gets BGH'd. And the Overload 3 I don't think is a big deal, because Shaman comes down to these very grindy top deck matchups, and I think this card can be good.
Ekop.
I agree with that. I mean, even if you're not that's absolutely true. Even if you don't play a Murloc deck, then this card is going to be good. If you compare it to something like an Earth Elemental, it costs essentially 2 more, but it gives you so much card advantage. And even if it gets dealt with immediately, like you still have all those Murlocs in your hand that might do something eventually. So I feel like Neptulon is going to see some play even in non-Murloc decks. But in Murloc decks, it might get really insane.
Murloc Shaman. Hey, hang on. Let's just go back. Let's just go ahead and play with our Spirit Walker guy.
Hey, stop!
We'll draw some
Admiral.
extra cards
This is
off
not
of
a
our
joke.
Neptulon. Backspace.
Yeah, Chakki and I had this conversation beforehand. I just agree with Chakki. I don't think that this card is insane, and I could definitely see some like Asian like deck builders putting like 1 War Leader in their deck with this card, so that the Murlocs are just always bonus.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't think it's insane. There are some metas that could be good. There's some metas that you would just never play it. I mean,
Looks like War Golem to me that draws the 4 worst cards in your deck.
The only question I'm wondering about is
It doesn't draw from
how
your
is the randomness? How is the random factor going to work? Is it going to be 4 different Murlocs? Can they be the same? Is it going to be a set amount of
they can
different
just
Murlocs,
be
like in Bane of Doom?
I would say, off intuition, it could be anything. You could get 4 Billies, and it includes all of them. That's what I would think off intuition.
to be completely fair, I don't really see this card being too much better than Dr. Boom, which I don't see Dr. Boom being that playable.
Thank you.
But
I think
mean,
it's better than Dr. Boom by far.
I think one of the benefits of Shaman is that you almost never have a BGH target in your deck. And when you put this guy in there, now suddenly you have a BGH target.
Yeah, that's the weakest part of the card, I agree, and it might be...
No, the weakest part of the card is that it's a 7-mana 7/7 with Overload 3 that draws 4 crappy cards. That's the...
No, if you ignore BGH, this card's fantastic.
If you ignore aspects of the game, which we have predicted are going to be some of the most popular and powerful effects, yes, this is pretty good.
No, you're saying the Murlocs are the terrible part. I'm saying the terrible parts can be BGH.
I think the whole thing is terrible. Like, I don't... Like, where am I ever playing this over, like Fire Element? Like, Fire Elemental's the top of your curve. Where do you have the room for that? There's just no way.
Got plenty of room.
In a very, very greedy format, I see this card being okay. In a very...
Oh, to be fair, with 2 Fire Elementals in the deck, you still do have 28 card slot.
Thank you, man.
You got me there. We're moving on to Druid cards.
The worst part of the card is the card. I love it, though.
Neptune's gonna be in my Shaman deck in the first tournament I play, and I'm gonna win.
All right, I'm holding you to that. Next,
loud
as soon as
noises.
it comes up. As soon as loud noises. Anodized Robo Cub. We're moving on to Druid. 2 mana, 2/2 taunt. Choose one. +1 attack or +1 health. This is, I think, a card that Druid absolutely wanted to have and very much needed.
Yeah, I think it wanted to have it 5 months ago. Like, back when, like, literally aggro hunter was, like, the best deck. But I don't see this card being good in... I don't see this card being good against almost anything nowadays.
What? Chakki?
I think this card, it's not bad at all, obviously. I don't think anybody's saying it's bad. I think what Backspace is trying to say is the meta it would have been fantastic in is probably passing. And it's probably going to see its way in still, though. I mean, this card's great.
Ekop?
Really?
Yeah.
It's a very decent 2-drop, I have to admit, even though it seems kind of generic. The fact that it's a mech and that it has taunt, though, it makes the card that much better. So I like the card. I mean, I would not know what kind of mech deck I would want to build with the Druid, but we'll see.
What I'm seeing with this card...
I'm going to change my opinion. I just think it's an adorable looking card. That's my only opinion.
There's no question about that. What I'm seeing with this card is you get a lot of flexibility out of a card, where it's normally a slot that's dedicated to something that like serves one very distinct purpose. Like if you're playing Haunted Creeper, you're probably also playing Echoing Ooze. If you're playing Sun Fury Protector, you probably are pretty heavy on your 5-drop minions. If you're playing strictly Wild Growth, obviously you want to be really heavy on 4 and 5 cost minions and the like. This card kind of serves all of the middle ground purposes, where it's like one of the problems with like Sun Fury Protector versus Priest is that going into turn 6, you give them a 2/3 very often. Against, like, just playing it on turn 2 when they play something like Northshire Cleric, that becomes a big problem. But this card being able to be a 3/2 versus certain classes, and then also being able to be a 2/3 against the classes you needed to, like, that feels like exactly the theme that you want with Druid, is all of your cards are very good and you want them to be flexible.
Yeah. If they 2-1 you, you get to 2/3 them. And if they don't 2-1 you, you get to 3/2 them.
Yeah.
I just have the feeling that you have to fit this into a certain type of strategy, because all the 2-drops that you have currently in Druid, should it be like Echoing Ooze or Haunted Creeper or Wild Growth or Sun Fury Protector, they fulfill a certain purpose that is specific to that deck they're played in, and I don't think that RoboCup fits that purpose of those decks that are established currently better than those cards that are prevalent. So I think that you would have to find a new deck with this card.
Yeah, that Druid is a mid-range class. That is literally what Druid is, and this is the most anti-mid-range card they've made.
I disagree with you. I think you need to scale into your mid-range stuff, and this helps you do that.
I don't think that this even helps you to scale into anything mid-rangey.
Wow.
I think if you draw this card off the top of your deck on turn 9, you're going to be like, I wish this was a Spider or a Death Rattle minion or like anything that's not a 3/2 taunt or a 2/3 taunt.
I think you play Sun Fury Protector and Haunted Creeper for all those sorts of reasons. It's like they're just fine early on and they're decent cards late. And I think this card's also decent late because if you need a 3/2, it's a 3/2, and if you won't need a 2/3, it's a 2/3. And most of the time you're going in late turns and you draw something like that, the fact that it just soaks up one attack from a big minion. I don't know. You guys seem to be like thinking a different thing than I just think this card's awesome, and I don't see building a Druid deck without 2 of these.
Huh. I mean, like, Knife Juggler never got played in Druid, and it's
always a 3/2 is why.
I mean, it's also has, like,
Yeah.
a pretty relevant ability.
It also
When
doesn't
Knife
have taunt.
Juggler actually used to be a 2/3, and it was played in like every deck.
Yeah, it was
Oh my
two,
god,
2/3s are
I
better
didn't play
than
back then.
3/2s.
Yeah.
2/3s are better than 3/2s.
In constructed, yeah.
Yeah, in constructed for sure.
Well, now it's Spider Tank. It's interesting because Spider
So-
Tank demolishes.
It changes a lot of stuff, but I think that Druid's going to play Spider Tank a lot too.
Yeah.
Grove Tender, 3 mana, 2/4, choose one. Each player gains a mana crystal, or each player draws a card. I'm not sure what to think of this card yet. I feel like instinctively it's pretty good, but this card obviously can backfire.
I like this card a lot. There's a lot of decks that get played in constructed that just goldfish, and this is definitely a goldfishing card, where you just don't care what your opponent's doing. You just add manas. You're just going to play at the highest casting cost minions. You're going to wild growth. You're going to do this. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a deck that uses this card eventually.
It's a full mana crystal too. That's something that's important
Yeah.
to note. Like if you play this guy, you can also claw afterwards.
Yeah, here's your wild growth, idiot.
I was about to say as well, like this is like a kind of a defensive Arcane Golem, I would say. I feel
Yo,
like
mill through
this
it.
fits ramp strategies very well, and generally, like I've seen in other card games some slower decks that make use of similar effects that just are very, very grindy, and actually we will see some Druid cards in this set later on that fit those very grindy type of control strategies very well. So Growth Tender goes very well with those cards.
I'm glad we're all thinking. I'm glad we're all thinking on the same line. This card is actually pretty good utility, and is going to find itself a nice spot in a lot of Druid decks. Not a
Yeah,
staple, but certainly a good card.
Also, one of the fairer versions of this card, like wild growth, if like it almost has no drawback. Like you play it on turn 2 and you're golden. You play it on turn 10 and you're kind of you're gonna draw a card off of it. This one is pretty fair. I actually like the design of this card too.
I'm curious if the mana crystal you'll gain from this will actually give you an excess mana if you're already at 10. Druid of the Fang, card that I'm not a big fan of, but a lot of people seem to have been in my. I've kind of discussed this card with people. 5 mana, 4/4, Battle Cry. If you have a beast, transform this into a 7/7.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, that's sort of the pool that I'm in, but I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to embarrass some people, but I've had some people telling me that this card is like a staple in Druid, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's almost like getting Black Knighted now with if BGH is as popular as we expect it to be, and this is your 5-drop, like you're just going to get tempoed by BGH in a deck where, like you've been saying, Admiral, you don't run a BGH target, and then you just give them one, and they're like, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Ekop.
Yeah, you can forget about this card. It
Yep.
would be a much better fit in Hunter, I guess.
Yeah, I'm glad that the 3 people that I chose to evaluate this set with me all agree that this is trash tier. This is one of the ones that I was like really afraid everyone's gonna be like, "Are you stupid? This card's great," because I think it sucks.
Well, actually, hang on. I want to comment on it because who are the people that you didn't want to trash?
I'm not gonna trash them. I'm just not gonna
Okay,
do it.
yeah, that's fine. Just who? Type it in Skype, and I'll mention it.
Oh god.
On the other hand, though, in Arena, this card is going to be insane.
That's a good point. In Arena, I think it's way over budgeted. Recycle, 6 mana, shuffle an enemy minion into your opponent's deck. Now, this card I think is really unique in that long term, this is a setback a lot of times, but
Yep.
it does silence the minion the turn you're killing it. So if you're not going to that point in the game, this ends up being really good.
Yeah, it's definitely better than Assassinate.
You guys don't think this is better than Siphon Soul?
I think this is way too overcosted.
Definitely not better than
Siphon Soul, it depends if you need the 3 health. And also, in a late game battle, Siphon Soul's obviously
This
like you
seems
said,
like
better.
This feels like a really good scenario where, like, something that I commonly encounter with Druid. This is sort of just me. I play a ton of Druid. I feel very comfortable with the deck. I know that a lot of you guys out there are going to think that I'm a stupid fucking idiot for saying this, but I think I play Druid basically better than everyone. One of the nightmare scenarios you run into is when you're, like, even with your opponent and they drop Sylvanas, or they drop Cairn, or they drop a Sludge Belcher and you don't have a good way to push through it and keep developing. Like, this card answers all of those scenarios.
Still, it costs too much, I would say.
Yeah, it is
I
very
think this card should, in order for this card to be balanced, I think it should cost 4.
I mean,
Whoa, I'd say
Whoa,
5.
be a one of, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a really good one of.
Like in the mirror match, it's definitely okay.
I think
No, not really. See, like the problem with this card, like Siphon Soul is different, right? Because like in Giants, you don't really need board control, like almost ever. Whereas in Druid, you need board control for this card to be good. So like, you can't really play a minion after you play this, unless it's like turn 10 where you play this in a 4-drop. So, nah, I'm going to pass. I don't really like this card that
Well,
much.
I think the nightmare scenario for Druids is when your opponent has a very big board, like full of very resilient minions that are multiple, that doesn't die to swipe.
Yeah.
And this doesn't help that at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I think Druid's weakness that they haven't been able to solve yet is like they don't have a strong AoE. They've got swipe.
I mean, I do like it
Which
better
is
than
good,
Assassinate.
but
I do like it better than Assassinate.
yeah, but Assassinate's not good. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
I don't know. I guess maybe I'm the only one.
I don't like it.
It also,
I think this
the
card's, like-
difference between this and Siphon Soul is like this shuffles it into their deck. Like that doesn't get rid of Ragnaros permanently.
Yeah, but most of the games you're playing with Druid, like
Yeah,
looking
you're
to
gonna
get
end the
combo.
game.
Yeah, they're
just
going
don't
to die
see-
to combo eventually. Yeah, I get that. That's kind of true.
I don't see this deck, this card being run though in like mid-range or like more aggressive type of druids.
Yeah, you just
more
don't
like
get to
this.
develop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's-
It just costs way too much in order for this card to be efficient in those type of druid decks. So it's more like of a control druid control card. But if you play it in control druid, and you still have way better alternatives, I think. I would even probably still play Starfire over this actually.
Wow. All right. Well, I guess very mixed opinions on this one. I'm kind of alone here. I think this card's a very strong one of that you're going to see in a lot of Druid decks. But these three guys disagree with me. I respect you guys' opinion, but I do disagree. Mech-Bear-Cat, 6 mana, 7/6 mech. When you summon, whenever this minion takes damage, add a spare part card to your hand. Is there a place for this card? This feels like trash tier. This is like the ogre that we saw earlier.
It
I don't think
doesn't
it's
fit in
trash.
Druid. It doesn't fit in Druid, I think.
Backspace?
I don't think it's trash. Like I said earlier with that 6/4 guy. Like this is a fine replacement card if you don't own Karen or you don't own Sylvanas, and there are going to be players that get into the game right now that don't own the previous set. So yeah, sure, this is a fine replacement card. Definitely not a standard card.
I really like this card a lot. I agree that this it doesn't fit Druid that well. I would much rather like to see it in Warrior, for example. And other than that, the effect doesn't seem to make this card worth playing, because just being big and clunky and getting some spare parts it's just too slow and clunky, I think. The card won't see much. The card, I don't think the card would see any play.
Don't have
But
a lot
it's
of...
very it's a very solid card. Don't get me wrong, but it's just way too clunky. And I think that Warrior could have made some use out of it with all the whirlwinding and stuff like that. Then that would have been good. But in Druid, unfortunately, not so much.
Backspace really thinking outside of the box here. If you guys don't have a ton of legendaries, or you don't have a ton of dust, this guy may fit your bill. But if you're one of those really competitive guys who's going to have everything, ignore this card. It's not for you.
Yeah.
Dark Whispers, without an H. Choose one. Summon 5 wisps, or give a minion +5/+5 and taunt. Ekop, this is exactly like the demon card we like, right?
Yeah, totally. The implosion, you mean? What?
No, the
It's a
+5,
mix.
the +5/+5. Yeah, it's a mix of those two cards.
Oh, that thing. Oh, you're right.
A lot of
Oh,
wisp
never
hype
mind.
here, but
Why does
this,
it cost 6?
I don't know. This card feels like it's really bad to me.
Why doesn't it cost 5? I don't know. Yeah, I don't like it. Especially the fact that it gives the minion taunt. It's like, oh hey, Black Knight, come on in.
Come on down!
I
And
saw you didn't have a great target.
They like Dark Whispers their guy, and like on the other side of the board, he goes Black Knight. Yeah, Dark Whispers, trash. Backspace.
I will always have a special place in my heart for anybody that has 5 wisps in play.
I agree.
So
Chakki, trash.
I think pretty bad.
Ekop trash. Yeah.
As much as I like having 5 wisps, I think this card is not going to see much play. Nope.
Yep, I agree. Tree of Life, on the other hand, I think is a very interesting card. 9 mana, restore all characters to full health. Your minions, their minions, your hero, their hero. Again, another really deck-building kind of card. I'm actually kind of excited about this one.
I'm not really a fan.
Like, this is
Because, like, the best case scenario, right, like, is you're probably at 12.
The dream scenario for it is scary. But
I mean, the dream scenario is obviously ridiculous, but you're probably coming close to winning the game before that. Like,
It's just a
I feel
different
like
kind of card.
anti-Keelbot's just better.
yeah.
In the dream scenario where you're, like, dead, and then you're like, I'm not dead! And then you just grind them out and win. Healing 8 seems like it's enough. Like,
I could see taking this card pretty high in Arena, but, like, as far as Constructed is concerned, if you're healing for 25, like...
Usually bad news.
Yeah, you're either dead on board where they just have all the minions in play, or, like, you are already gonna win. So, like, I don't...
Yeah,
I don't know.
The only way this helps is when you're, like, so low you're about to get burned out the next turn, and you're like, heal for 25.
I will promise every single person in this stream, if I thought steal this, I will set up an Alkanite where I can kill myself with it. 100% of the time.
And Backspace is definitely streaming tomorrow.
If anybody has ever seen me on ladder, all I do is troll my opponents, and I have no problems conceding a game with the Tree of Life.
Ekop?
I think the card has a lot of potential. I've seen Dark1X go bonkers over this card because he's a big fan of those slow type of control decks, and he really is looking forward to play with this card. If I actually would be a fan of those type of control decks, I would also be a fan of the card. This is the card that I was talking about when I talked about Grove Tender. Like, this fits very well into a Grove Tender deck that just wants to ramp up and then handle the board as efficiently as possible, just play reactively all day, and then grind their opponent out with Tree of Life and the next card that we're going to see.
Yeah, buddy. I agree with you. I think it's awesome. Now, I don't think it's like a staple for every Druid deck, but I think it opens up a lot of weird potential for some crazy deck building. Chakki, you sounded like you had something to say.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, is there a way you can get just a stalemate with this card? Like, because fatigue is the way that that Hearthstone ensures that the game ends, right? And this is the first mechanic that you can avoid fatigue forever.
Well, sort of. I mean, fatigue definitely will hit 20 at some point.
Will it?
I'm pretty sure. I mean,
If you
not?
just keep shuffling Malorn back into your deck?
Well, we're going to talk about Malorn here in a second. I guess we're ready to move on. 9/7 for 7. Death Rattle, shuffle this minion into your deck. This card strikes me as, you know, you look at it and you're like,